Um, yo. Thank you guys again for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. I'm your guy, Jus. Like, subscribe, review. If you do not do these things, I am going to believe that you want to kick all the Palestinians out of Gaza. In today's episode, we will have one of the very few guys that I love talking sports with, even though he is a New Yorker, but he doesn't like the Knicks. It's my friend for the evening, Reek. How are you doing today, Reek?
Oh, I'm blessed. I think I'm an adopted New Yorker by trade over the last 5 years, 5 years, but New Yorker nonetheless. But by the way of Jersey, yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Giants still on my heart. We've got about 5 days left of football season, and then
Yep.
then I might be going to free agency myself, but here we are. Here
Listen,
we
man.
are.
Hey, listen, man. I told you. So me and Reek are in a very large group chat, talk a lot of sports and other stuff in this. But one of the things that I said was this was when, and maybe this has some connections. Like I understand what Dallas Mavericks fans are going through, where they trade away one of their favorite players, and you're just sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? Trust me, I probably should have said this during my time breaking it down. I feel you. Like, trust me, it could have been worse. Um, but when Dave Gettleman, who was the previous Giants general manager, traded away Odell Beckham Jr., who was a Pro Bowl receiver at the time, I remember texting Reek in the group chat and said, I'm off this narcotic until this man got fired. And sure enough, I was
Yeah,
off
fire.
that narcotic until he got fired. The issue
Yeah.
is I got back on the narcotic.
Well, listen,
And
never quit quitting. Never
yeah,
quit
yeah.
quitting
You
is
know
now the
what?
logic.
I'm Reek. I'm this close to getting back into this 12-step program. I'm about this
Yeah,
close
yeah.
because we are both obviously Giants fans. But please tell me a bit of the state of the Giants before we get into anything else really specifics. Please just tell me your take. The floor is yours. I really want to hear your take on how the G men are doing.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'll tell you what the G-men are doing for my personal life. I going through hell right now. Yeah, going through absolute hell. With rooting for them, even claiming them. Uh, any of the colors that I wear as relates to the blue, big blue. It's all hell. It's all hell. It's not a conversation starter. It's actually a conversation ender. A lot of people are prejudiced against me now because when they see me wearing any Giants memorabilia, they obviously assume that I don't have a brain or I wasn't raised right, wasn't loved. Um, I have some sort of fear of abandonment when it actually works in reverse, but so it goes. But no, on the real, as far as this Giants season and the last two seasons are concerned, like this last, it's been uh, hell, no hell, actual hell. Purgatory would be too nice of a word, but yeah, I mean from top to bottom, as far as the overall product that's on the field, as far as whatever our general manager and front offices are trying to do, um, letting star players walk or not surrounding your star players with the proper talent to maximize on their efforts. All of it is hell. So I'm going into this next few months with a very, very, very low expectation of what's to come because I don't see a scenario where we're going to end up with what we truly need or want as fans, or to see this football team be of any sort of confidence going forward.
Yeah, and so here's kind of my take on the Giants overall, right? I think a lot of people oftentimes shit on the Jets because of the Jets. They do unbelievable clownish stuff and get the comeuppance as they deserve. Whether it's Diana Rossini ripping them anytime they do something, whether or not they are the quarterback's really the GM, but then he fired the GM, and then the coach got fired, but they don't actually know like who actually runs the team, and then the owner might be working in the cabinet, but haha, he didn't get picked, so now he's back owning the team. Comedy. This is like the Giants are like that 30-minute episode right after your favorite comedy that gets played, right? Like, because they've been that bad. Like, granted, they've won 2 Super Bowls in our lives. And actually, technically, they won 3 in our lifetime.
Yeah, right.
But 2 that we actually saw. And I'm gonna be honest, like there are teams that have never been to Super Bowl. There are teams that never won the Super Bowl. So I oftentimes say this with a level of grace and understanding that it could be worse. But dog, this shit is awful. Like, I'm talking awful. And I think for me, the number one thing I always look at is I never really judge organizations necessarily on wins and losses, especially when you just come in, right? You just got in, you got a whole bunch of players you might not even like. You got to get those guys out. You got to bring new guys in. Shit's going to take time, okay? I judge front offices from the moment you start is what is your process? What are you trying to do, okay? Do your draft picks hit? Do they not hit? Do you get smart free agency? Do you spend well? Do you make good moves within the margins? Because if you can't make moves within the margins, how am I supposed to expect you to draft a quarterback when you're ready there? And that, to me, has ultimately been the biggest criticism I can make of this organization to date, is whenever they have to make a move, a very simple move, a basic move, they tend, to me, to overreact to whatever happened, listen too much to the fans, and then put themselves in an impossible situation, which led us to the Daniel Jones to the Saquon Barkley thing. And how did you feel? Because I don't remember how you felt when they gave Daniel Jones the contract, but what was your first thought when they gave him the contract?
So my thing is, let's step back, right, and kind of think about what transpired. I believe that very first year with Dayball and Joe Shea, right? I think we did Evan Neal and Thibodeau, correct?
No, I think that was the next year. No, you're right. You're right. They were bad.
Yeah,
They were bad.
yeah.
They got Tibbs and Neal. Yep.
Yeah,
And then they made the playoffs.
and then we
they
made the
got
playoffs
Kevon
that
Looney.
year,
There it is.
the next year. I'm. Come on, it's fine.
Shout out Florida's
fine.
finest, baby.
Um, I I have a hard time with recapping on that season because I think about those highs that we had. At one point, we were 5-1, and things are moving.
I
That
think they
that
got to
that
like 7-2 at
They
some
got it
point.
got 7-2, and like that engine was running. We had a rough patch in the middle of the season. Uh, Daniel Bellinger gets hurt. Xavier McKinney, who had he not fallen off a bike during his bye week
Bye week.
and broke
Those
his
bye week
thumb,
injuries are hilarious.
there always yeah, always. If he had not done that, he would not have missed a snap of football in 2 years. So much going on like around the team that from these productive pieces that we got a little taste of it. We go to the playoffs, we beat Minnesota in Minnesota on the road. I'm like, all right, this team could be something. We were far less talented than the Philadelphia. We shouldn't have been on the field with them at any point, and that's cool. First year, got the win in the playoffs. Cool. Let's build from that. What do we do? Nothing. Nothing. Like there was nothing in the offseason that made me think that you were going to do something constructive, which was to build around your offense. Our wide receivers at that
They're
time,
terrible.
we
Shout out
had the
Isaiah
worst.
Hodges.
And that's my guy. And I was also a big David Seals fan. But, like, to even say that is kind of odd because it's like, look at what we had to deal with. Or not deal with, but this is the product you put on the field. You did nothing to attract free agents. You did nothing to be aggressive in free agency. You did nothing. And this is after we won the one playoff game. But you rewarded a quarterback who threw 15 touchdowns and ran for 10. So, I mean, 25 touchdowns on paper. Okay. Didn't turn over the ball as much. He's an ultimate game manager. But you had a false multiplier in Saquon Barkley, like in the backfield. And, like, here's your incentive. Here's $12 million. Like, no, you make him one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. I, I, I don't see where we did anything that could further push us down the field, if you will,
But here's the thing
after the
though.
first offseason.
Even with when you said that, right? Like, because I personally agree with Shane when he didn't pay Dable, when he didn't pay Barkley, because ultimately, I think we were all caught up into maybe the propaganda that all these running backs are trash, that you can just find one off the lot. But as you saw this offseason, I'm pretty sure every running back that changed teams had like a really good year. Henry made All-Pro or was a Pro Bowler. Josh Jacobs had a bunch of touchdowns. Mixon was great, and obviously Barkley might win Offensive Player of the Year.
No. There's no dispute with that. There's no dispute, or will never be a dispute with that. Building around something is what I'm talking about.
Got
The
it.
offensive line, the offensive line, end of Saquon's last year in New York, he's like 9 and some change. I think he ended up with like 980. Played really well, ironically, against the Eagles the last game, and then so he just under 1,000. And there's an idea to me. I'm like, there's a big chance that we got here. We got the 6th draft pick, right, or top 10 draft pick. We could put some talent there, some immediate impact talent on the offensive side of the ball. In addition to that, we have a couple of dollars to spend in free agency. So let's spend that on a line that would want to play with Saquon. But instead, we're going to let him walk. It doesn't make any sense. And you have a talent of that caliber. You don't let them walk. You don't let them walk.
Trade them.
You trade them.
You trade them. That's what you do.
You trade them.
Because I think we're bouncing around seasons because the next season is when the fall off happened,
Right.
and your quarterback gets hurt.
Right, to this point. Right. To the point we're at now. Right. And again, when I'm talking about adding, some stability in the offensive line, right? Let's just start there. First game of the season, our All-Pro is our All-Pro left tackle is making a hustle play on I believe it was a missed field goal or a blocked field goal, and
Breaks his foot.
And messes his foot up. If we had added some depth there, we'd been able to supplement that a little bit, right? So just like there's a continual process of just incompetence from upper management with trying to alleviate any of these problems, or preventative maintenance is what I call it. Putting something in place so that if something does fall and break, we have your replacement here, right? So none of it going into this last season felt like I was encouraged to be a fan and to have something to cheer for.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate thing is, as we now maybe zero in strictly on Barkley, you just detailed it exactly where it's like there just seemed to be no plan here. It's like I was never in the Daniel Jones camp, just frankly never bought it. And while I can say that obviously now, but at the time there were people who thought, all right, you screwed up this guy's first couple of years, give him a couple of chances. See what he does when you give him a good offensive coordinator, give him a good, let him use his running back, let him use his legs. Solid season. My issue from the start was paying him and not paying Barkley. I don't mind if I understand that quarterbacks can get away from you, right? But you have franchise tags for a reason. The NFL is one of the hardest leagues to actually hit true free agency. The only quarterback we've really seen hit true free agency is Kirk Cousins, and that's because he's mid. Jones is in that tier. So why is it that you gave him the bag when your running back was the one who did all the work to get you in to the playoffs and help you win a playoff game? And
in addition to that, what pieces? Let's just say we don't pay Saquon. All right. What pieces did you even put around Daniel Jones to make him
good,
to make him better? You know what I mean? So there's just a level of ineptitude that you just like. Have you watched Detroit play in the last year and a half?
Yes, I have.
Even when they came to MetLife and bust that ass, as Saquon actually said, is the season changed after they put that foot in our ass. Watch the way that their offense runs. Watch the way there's a few guys in the NFL that are better than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but nobody plays as hard as him. There's a few guys that were better than Marvin Jones and the other receivers, but nobody runs the routes that they do. Watch the way that their offensive line blocks. Watch the way now that how Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery run through the creativity, the ingenuity
and they doing it with Jared Goff.
And he ain't no sucker.
But he ain't a sucker. But we're not talking like we got the number 3 best quarterback in the league.
So he finds a way to make him as productive as possible. There was none of that with our offense. From the offensive line, and they obviously have Penei Sewell and Decker. From our offensive line, nothing, right? Any of our receivers.
5th pick. Well, who went first? No, Tibbs went first, and then Neil don't even play no more.
Right,
Neil about to get cut.
So, but that has less to do. That has just as much to do with him as it does with
the team,
the organization. One thing I'm going to make a quick comparison is you love ball. I love hoop, but you love hoop. And and tell them from your head, who means and wants to be in the league, whether it be a first-round pick, second-round pick, undrafted, and make the squad. Because of how much better they get every October. They will be like, damn, this kid got better over the summer. He still went and played in summer league. He worked out with the guys, and you see it. But then during the season, he gets better, and you're like, damn, they're really developing this person very well. That doesn't happen in the NFL. It doesn't happen for most players, especially the Giants.
Nope.
You drafted this guy at number 6. At no point did you all put a structure around him to make him become a better quarterback. Here, Eli, come this way. Go ahead, Daniel Jones, it's yours. I was a sucker. The first 2 games, come back against Tampa on the road.
Tampa's like a half a home game, but I get you.
Word. And then we come back to the crib and beat Washington. I'm like, oh, this kid can ball. We got it. He's got an electric arm. He's fast. He's not scared to put his shoulder down. This is great. At what point did you do anything to help develop him? The last 2 or 3 coaching staff did nothing.
But listen to what you said. 2 to 3 coaching staff is.
Now it sounds as if I'm being a little bit of an apologist. No, I'm not. The talent really wasn't there. However, we have something that can supplement that. His name's Saquon Barkley. He's from the Bronx. He knows how to play football. Great. You're going to run for 2,000 yards as a rookie. You're going to do all this stuff. 1,300 yards our playoff year. Here's how we're going to reward you. We're going to franchise tag. What the fuck? There's not a plan in place. You say it all the time. You said it all the time. There's no plan in place. There's nothing that makes you think that like the product that they're putting on the field makes you excited to go see it. At this point, it's doom scrolling.
like what exactly are we doing over here?
What exactly are we doing? I'm just doing it. Like,
yeah, man.
It hurts.
And to me, and I think like you said, right? Like the Saquon thing in itself, like, and me and you already talked about this. Obviously, we never thought he would. Let me take that back. He always had the talent to do what he's doing right now. Mm-hmm. The team around him was never good enough, right? And my issue with them drafting him when they did, it had nothing to do with him, his talent. I never thought he would be a bust. It was never that. It was you don't draft a running back number 2 overall when your team is drafting number 2 overall. I feel like people like those two things don't click in the head. It's like the reason why you're drafting number 2 overall is because your team sucks. Therefore, you can't draft the running back if your team sucks because your team will not be able to utilize the talents of that running back because suck.
The team sucks.
It's a very snake eats its tail kind of conversation. And like for me, my biggest fear now is them going into this draft. It's like, dog, they might draft a black quarterback. They might. This is the same franchise that sent letters to John Mara for when they considered signing Colin Kaepernick. This is the same franchise that when Eli Manning was cooked, I tell you, cooked, was about to have a protest because Geno Smith started the game. And they want to, like, I'm telling you, man, I'm praying for this. I hope for his sake, whichever one it is, that this does not happen. Telling you, I've seen how these people get down.
You've been to the mountaintop.
They better wait a year and hope Arch Manning comes out because I know it's not going to be good for him. Whichever one it is.
So you've been to the mountaintop. I understand.
I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen over the hill. I can tell you what happened.
Exactly. So the draft starts at number 2. Because, with the recent news of Myles Garrett, requesting a trade, they're going to go into full rebuild if that happens. Now, the idea is you don't wait until after the draft to trade somebody like him. You have to do it beforehand. Because, you try to do it before free agency, and there's a whole lot of, legal eagles and money involved.
But not even to cut you off, like I'm hearing that the Titans might draft the dude out of Penn State. And my whole point is, like, why would you posture? Like, you have the number 1 pick. There's no point in, like,
which is equally as so it's equally as important as what you're saying is, like, yeah, they're going to draft a quarterback at number 2. Let's just play the game where Tennessee drafts a quarterback at 1. Let's just say that they do. And Cleveland drafts a quarterback at number 2. What I believe, what I want, what I hope is much different than what I believe. And then on the first time I'm ever putting this on wax, here's what I believe is going to happen. The Giants are going to trade out of the number 3 spot, trade back 7 or 8, maybe with the Jets, whoever is in the 8 hole. I forgot. They're going to draft Will Campbell from LSU, who's another tackle, very good tackle, very nasty, very good tackle. He means business. And they're going to accumulate whatever capital from that. It could be a first-round pick for next year, in addition to some later draft picks for this year's draft. Toward the end of the first round, 32, 31, that spot, whoever, depending on who wins, they're going to trade back into the end of the first round, and they're going to draft Jackson Dart. That's
the guy. That's the guy I do. Yep.
And the reason why you trade back in is so you still
get the 5th year.
Get the 5th year. So that now goes into my framework. Well, what do you do? Who's your bridge quarterback, right? Do you want him learning from James? I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind him learning from James. I wouldn't mind him learning from anybody.
Dog, James you want the preacher in Jersey?
No. James just wouldn't be my first option. Well, what are the options, Tyreek? Do you want Kirk Cousins? No. Jimmy Garoppolo? No. It's going to be Russell Wilson.
Oh, smoking on that Wilson pack? Oh, he's definitely the type of quarterback for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's a Giants quarterback if I've ever seen one.
So, he's still.
Oh, and Sierra? Oh, yeah, they're coming to New York. Exactly. That happened.
So he's still, somewhat mobile. He has a strong arm, and he's going to have a very reliable young receiver in Malik Neighbors, and maybe something you get addressed in free agency as well as it relates to adding some more talent around that. But I do think what I believe is going to happen, if the first 2 picks are quarterbacks and those 2 quarterbacks are gone, Giants trade out of 3, they trade back, whomever comes up grabs Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, who was the second coming of Mike Parsons, so they say. We'll take Will Campbell, and we'll go from there. And on face value, I'm like, oh, this is such a great. Is it? Is it?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. So here's how I feel about that, right? It's always tricky for me to always evaluate quarterbacks because I truly believe, like, the superstars will always be the superstars, right? Mm-hmm. Like, people will always want to make the comparison that Josh Allen, like Dayball or whoever made Josh Allen. No, you know who made Josh Allen? Josh motherfucking Allen.
Allen.
Okay? You know who made Patrick Mahomes? Patrick motherfucking Mahomes. Like, if you're that dude, Yes, does having a good environment, like look at Bo Nix. Do I think Bo Nix would be as good if he was on the Saints than if
No.
he was if no? I don't think Bo Nix that good. But he's with Sean Payton, so he gonna get the most out of him, right?
Hmm.
I do believe in Daboll. I actually think he's a really good
I,
coach.
I do as well. I do as well. But think about, and then I'm gonna let you get back. But think about the circumstances in which he's been presented. Like you saw his face on Hard Knocks, which unfortunately he's going to have to live with forever. We're all going to. We're going to address that. We're actually going to come to terms. We're going to put that. We're going to put that to rest tonight. But like year one was an example of how good of a coach he can be, or how good of a coach he is. And then year two is just like, well, let X walk. He gave up, uh, the other safety, and let a whole lot of talent left. Here we go. Like
Win
this is the
games.
result of that. You can't win games with it. So, but as you were.
Yeah, and it's like I think you have a good coach, and I think ultimately, see, for the vast majority of the middle, it is about what you do with them, right? Like I understand that Jalen Milrose is not everyone's cup of tea. I see how he is, and ultimately, like that conversation we were having about Cam and Shador, that's that same conversation I'm having about a man named Jalen. But I do think ultimately, if you have talent, the best offensive coordinators will get the best out of you, right? And all that else depends is the what your GM does with the team around them, right? And be able to build the rest of the team out as you progress. So I can't say for right now Jackson Dart will be good. He could be great. He could be terrible. We unfortunately don't know. But to me, the ultimate issue and the ultimate point of all this will be is what exactly are we expecting next season? You know what I'm saying? Like what's the where is this going? And I think that's ultimately my point, which is why I ultimately feel like this team is stuck in a quagmire. There's no other way that you can look at this if I owned the team and said you let your best player go and he might win the Super Bowl and might be Super Bowl MVP. Like that's an objective statement. Like those two things either are going to happen or one of them definitely happened, and the second one at worst is he's going to be the offensive player of the year. More than likely, maybe Jamar Chase gets it, but I think he gets it. You then have a press conference said that I'm patient, but I'm pissed off, and we better win. Speaking of John Mara, you're now going to draft the quarterback at some point. At least a lot of people believe. And you're still not as good as the Cowboys, the Commanders, or the Eagles. So, again, I get to my point is, where is this? Like, where exactly is this going? What are you expecting? Because if you're expecting them to make the playoffs, whew, buddy, you got to get off that pack. But if you're expecting them to be like, yo, we should win 7 to 10 games next year, you tell me, is that fair? Because, again,
No.
they looked terrible.
Yeah. In addition to that, pick a random team. As far as that, well, let's take the Eagles. If you look at the Eagles play, I'm not even talking about their offense specific. Look at the team, and you look at, let's go with the Chargers, right? Look at these teams, and then you look at the Giants on Sunday. Like that's not even the same product. They're not even playing the same level of football. You see how everything culturally it's just like whether from top to bottom or bottom to top, everything is just off kilter. And you know, I think about the game that's coming on Sunday, and I have all the love and respect in the world as a fan for Saquon. I want him to do well. I don't want the Eagles to, but I want him to do well because he meant right by every single teammate and fan that was ever coming to watch him. He gave his all at all points. The guy fumbled the ball like 3 times. You know what I mean? He dropped a couple passes, cool, but nobody deserved to make as many mistakes as he did because he owned every single one of them. And your treat to him was, yeah, we're going to let you test the market openly and just do whatever you want to do. Like, and then going backwards, speaking of John Mara and Joe Shane, they don't even remotely seem on the same page. So, like, to your point, what is his process and how is it working? Because it doesn't even seem like the owner of the team understands what this process is, and it's becoming so mind fucking that like you got your players speaking in the media about directions and ways to go. Shout out to Malik Neighbors for being as honest and candid as he's been about like what he wants
That was
because
another guy
like
I was real nervous about. I was like, this feels like Odell, like
no,
as more mature than I actually thought he would be.
right, and but culturally, like that hasn't been something that has been apparent for us for the last few years. You haven't heard somebody speak up the way he did, and I appreciate it. But what is the end game here? We're being invited to a just a party of mediocrity, and it's not even that. It's below that. You see us play against the Colts and knock ourselves out of the one spot. It's almost like there's not even a direction there. You're not even good at losing. Like, what's going on?
Exactly, man. And like, I know we just touched on it too, so we can get into the hard knocks of it all. I watched it, and again, maybe this is just because I'm off Twitter, so like I don't let my brain get rotted by the thoughts of people that don't deserve my attention. But I understand more and more now that like what you see is what people get. You put on screen, oh, that's what it is, right? It's in people's minds. And I saw it, and yeah, was it like embarrassing after the fact? Yeah, because Saquon had a great season, but we all knew that he didn't want him back. We knew he didn't want him back 2 years ago. He said as much. He was like, "Yo, here's this. We're not even giving you." I don't even think they even gave him the franchise tag. I think they gave him less. I think it was like $10 million. It was like something like that. It was like the franchise tag. I think for running backs was 12 or something like that. And then he was like, "Here's 10."
Right? No. So the way that it worked, it was like the 1 year he was on the franchise tag, uh, and then after the season ended, which was last year, um, he was like, "Well, I want you to hurry up and tag me, or just get it out of the way, don't play with it, like, or let's work on a deal." And it was, hey, we're just gonna let you walk. Tell us what the market tells you. And yeah, Philadelphia's out. It's Chicago. Like
Chicago's gonna do it.
What? Like none of it.
And that to me is always where like, and to get to your point about how Mara and Shane were never on the same page. Again, that season, the team was going terrible. We had reports that Baltimore for sure wanted to trade for Saquon. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head, but like that team for sure wanted to trade for him. And you keep him, you play him, and then you just let him, you completely misread the market. And so, like, look, I think that whole bit about like Philadelphia be out, to be honest, I think I think that shit happens to a lot of GMs. I think a lot of GMs think they have like plugs in certain places, but it's a game of telephone, right? Like, oh, he's not interested, but they talk to the right people and yada yada yada. My whole thing again with Hard Knocks is the fact that you had it, and like you just said, right? There seemed to never really be like on page of what it actually was, right? Like, okay, like, are we trying to get a quarterback? No, we're not trying to get a quarterback. We're trying to get with the line. Oh, we bring back Saquon? No, we're not going to bring him back. We're just going to let him walk. Okay. Seemed like the head coach really wants to get a couple quarterbacks. That didn't happen. They tried to trade up for Drake May. Didn't happen. And it's like you kept feeling like you were in this like almost – you feel like you're just in this immovable location. And I'm just ultimately not sure, especially if they draft a quarterback. Like, if they draft the I think I would be very, very, very nervous if they draft the quarterback. Because, the only thing I was just going to say is because rookie quarterbacks are a great way to give you cover, right? You start Russell. Let's go with your idea. They start Russell Wilson. They 1-3 by October.
All you niggas is going.
Exactly. Every day on WFAN. Yo, I seen Dart. First time, long time, Jones from Tom River. Seen Jackson Dart's Instagram. He seems motivated, loves God. Just give him a chance, see how it is out there. They get bullied into starting this man in game 6. He's terrible. You somehow have the number 1 pick, and then everyone's fired. And then now you're like, oh, I guess we are drafting a quarterback again.
Exactly.
Again, you're just wasting. To me, you're pushing off the thing that is eventually going to happen, which is going to fire these men. Because I don't know what they can do to get in the good graces to stay for another year.
Now, it's a very circuitous process, right? So, and none of those cycles actually break until you break the cycle, right? So there's got to be something that you do that undoes it. But check this out. I'm going to make the swift pivot, of a comparison that you might even be able to appreciate, right? We're both baseball fans, and we don't share the love for the same team. However, we share a love for one of the same players. Mr. Juan Soto. He was in the Bronx this year, right? He was doing his thing. We went to the World Series. Didn't pan out the right way. A lot of bad baseball in those 5 days in October, November, right? A lot of bad baseball. Well, now he signs with the Mets. Okay. So what was Cashman's idea after that? And I told myself I would never watch the Yankees again if we let him walk. Let him walk. What was his answer? To supplement the pitching. To make sure we had a few more utility players. To make sure we had, a consummate pro in the outfield to replace Soto in a sense. You cannot replace a talent like that, right? However, this team's a little bit better now at scale than it was before we lost, Soto. All right, cool. Had a couple more dollars to spend because we didn't spend $700 on one person. Cool. Granted, there's no salary cap, but and I want to keep beating this dead horse. Yeah, no, yeah, he's not going anywhere, right? No, it's Chicago. It's not Philly. And he goes, it's like, now what? How are we going to supplement this? What are we going to do? You're going to put some talent around Daniel Jones and make sure he's a consummate, a consistent quarterback. You're going to find him another wide receiver to complement this rookie, teach him how to play. Darius Slayton is a professional at his highest form, but at best he's a third option,
Number 3 wide receiver
on a very good team, right? What are we going to do? Like we've seen our stalwart left tackle who had to grow and develop to be that position, be very good at that position. Are you going to put somebody to help him around? Your response is going to sign Motor from Buffalo because you like him. He's 5'8", 208 pounds.
And lost his starting job by
starting job.
8.
So, again, we might beat Washington. Coming out of the first half. I think we have the lead. We're driving down the field. We're moving the ball on. Leaves up a fumble. Boom. Twice it happens with Motor. Right? There's no plan. There's nothing going on. And when you directly undermine the process of having a plan put in place for your business to move forward between the owner and GM, it shows me that you're not even capable of doing this job, right? There's just nothing that made me think that you're doing this job very well, or you're interested in doing the job very well. That said, the only credit I will give them, Andrew Phillips, Tyler Nubin, and these young boys.
This draft was great.
The draft was good. But those are rookies. All of our production cannot come from rookies. Eventually, going to have to pay them.
Exactly.
I need some veterans in here.
That should say something to you when you're in your. Is this his 4th year and your best players are rookies?
Third, going into his
third year. That should be the fact that I would argue the left tackle Gettleman,
right?
But outside of that, most of the dudes on the team that aren't playing well, you picked or signed.
Yeah,
absolutely. Barkley, that you didn't get him,
or the best thing that I think
McKinney. I don't think they drafted him neither.
No, I think that the best thing that, and again, that's homegrown talent, right? At one point, going back to the Yankees, we have Robinson Cano. Oh, this guy's so good. Come to the farm system, got this guy, right? It's homegrown talent. that we had. And the relationship came to an end, and he picked greener pastures in Seattle. However, that was homegrown talent that we got maximum effort from and maximum capability from. You let X walk. You traded up Leonard, but even though we traded for Leonard, you traded him away. Like there's
That dude's gonna finish top 5 in DPOA.
I want to just capture this, and Dexter Lawrence probably would have been the defensive player of the year if had he not gotten hurt. I want you to capture this. There's a point where our backup defensive end Ojulari was doing really well. He had more, and Kayvon was out about 4 or 5 sacks in like 3 or 4 games. His market was very high around the deadline. Shane doesn't trade him. A week later, he gets hurt and he's out for the season. Like, you had your chances, right? You had your chances to make the team better, and you don't. So, to put this whole Hard Knocks thing to rest, we've seen not only do us as fans think that you have no process, we've now seen that your process isn't there on television. We saw it. We literally saw it for 58 minutes for 4 weeks in a row. This was a centennial year, and we were supposed to do something. Came out with those butt ugly ass fucking jerseys on week 1.
Oh God, man!
Got
y'all motherfuckers look like y'all were rocking shit in the 50s. Y'all look like y'all were out there during segregation. That's the thing. I don't understand why we keep doing that. Why do we keep honoring? Why? Well, I know why now, but the obsession with honoring when black people couldn't play the sport needs to stop. Okay?
Yeah, no. So in addition to that, but like the only thing that sells for the Giants, and again,
it's nostalgia, baby.
This is exactly.
Retirements, jerseys, retirements. Is Coughlin in the Ring of Honor yet?
No, but we're
gonna do that next year.
At the time of this recording, we're sitting, 24 hours before finding out whether or not Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. If that is the case, you can imagine that's going to happen next year too, right? We're going to play Dallas game 1 8:15 on Sunday night, right? We get Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth in, and that's going to be the big thing. Eli Manning coming out, he's a Hall of Famer, right? So we've got to find a different way. Those wouldn't be problems if our team was good.
Oh yeah. Listen, trust me. There's only so many jerseys you can retire. There's only so many charities you can do. Right. There's only so many, names you can put in the Hall of Fame before people. Dog, we play in New York. How are there more Ravens fans?
So
that's not even a natural rival.
You're a very big. I can't call you a Knicks fan. If there's something that's higher than that, that's what you are, right? Do you know like what it means to put on the jersey in New York? Like it's just like it's magnified. It's like it's something you're not representing just
it's
like
the heaviest jersey in all. The
sports, heaviest, man. Absolutely. I'll never forget Max Kellerman said that like if anybody's ever bad in LA, they go watch movies. Like like the Lakers were bad for a few years. It wasn't as loud. If you're bad in New York, it only gets louder.
That's all they talk about.
It gets louder. It's all that they talk about. The Yankees were bad for turn it around. The Knicks. You can't go nowhere now. You don't see every kid got the Jalen Brunson jersey. Nobody's wearing the Giants jerseys. You don't wear a Kayvon. 97. I wear 97, but it don't sell like hotcakes the way a jersey is supposed to. I wear Dexter Lawrence, but nobody wants to be part of this.
Can't get that shit at a thrift store, my guy.
So if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, I know I'm playing on the road. I'm like, shit, I go take my old lady to the city Saturday night, Sunday. We go to the game, and we hop right on the train. We go back home. We be in bed before 8:00.
Tap if I'm an Eagles, get some dinner in the city, and come back.
If I'm an Eagles fan, more gas up to 87 miles up 295. I'm there. There's empty asses and there's no asses in certain seats because there's no product out there worth it, and it comes from all the way at the top, goes to the bottom. There's 4 or 5 players I can say on the team that like, goddamn, I feel bad, but you give your all. every week, and as a result, this is what we get. This is what we get. It's
Hey
bad.
man,
It is bad.
I feel bad doing this hard transition because I feel like I'm just going from one team is ass. I feel like the next team we're gonna talk about is mid.
Yeah,
Your Bulls. Um,
yeah,
I'm very interested in the Bulls because not just the fact they beat the Knicks twice, which is just hilarious, but the fact that like I feel like y'all mid and just I don't see kind of almost in the Giants way where like I feel like they have talent. This is very maybe it's different because we're talking about basketball
right.
versus football, right? There's so many players on the team versus basketball players. You're only gonna have about 8 to 11 players that are going to actually
Absolutely.
even play in the game, right? And like y'all just had Levine, y'all traded him, good player. DeRozan, good player.
Good player.
Kobe White, good player. Vucevic, good player. Y'all calling this white man Little Uzi Vert now, and I got questions about him. He seems good. No,
Is not.
Y'all are calling him.
Has not gotten a
Little Uzi
nickname
Vert.
from me yet. He's not gotten
Right.
a nickname from me yet. But
Okay, I hope so. But he kind of good, and I keep looking at this team, and I just keep asking myself this question. At some point, y'all gotta like stop being mid and
Yeah.
go to being bad or good.
Yeah.
Because this
So-
mid shit's been around since really Lonzo got hurt.
Literally. So, oh my God. What's crazy is I just shout out to my brother Omar, who equally is and I've told him this before. I don't know who's a bigger basketball fan between you and like as far as like the Knicksdom. It's like y'all are like I can't even say one A and one B, but they're all the same. But he's you know we've been speaking about the Chicago turmoil for at least the last 5 years. To the point where he's like, yo, come on over. Like it's okay. Like you've ran your gamut. Like we got your boy Tibbs over here. Like come on with. And I'm like, yeah, but no, because like I can't do it. I can't do it simply because y'all deserve it. Y'all done rolled out the hardships. Y'all done rolled out being booed out of the garden and
Losing by 50 at home.
yep, and
Those are
not
great
being able to
times.
monetize on a very good Melo era. Like there's also some bad times with Melo as well. Right. So let's go to Chicago. Say what you want about the Tips era and everything like that. That brought and that restored some sort of sense of pride in basketball in Chicago. And ever since then, it's been absolute shit. Fred Hoiberg, uh, Billy the Kid, like it's just not good. But again, there's some sort of mismanagement upstairs that there's no process that is being put in place, shit, publicly, privately, or whatever the case may be, and Jerry isn't helping, so it's bad.
But what we just talked about, what did we just see? Derrick Rose retirements.
Derrick Rose retirements, right? But at least they're honest about it. They're honest about it. We know we fucking suck. So on Tuesday, February, come on back over because we're honoring Joe Kim Noah. Guess what? And it's Black History Month, so at the end of the month, we're honoring Luol Deng. Like, cool. I'm like, damn, I remember them teams. Yeah, we should have beat the Heat. Did it cool. There's no there's no toughness. I don't know where I just saw a clip of the game I really loved. Uh, Naz Muhammad
Nazi Muhammad, yeah, I remember.
pushing LeBron James to the ground like he was like the school bully pushing the motherfucker into a locker. And he was just like, I'm not going. There was a toughness that was there. There was some sort of pedigree in Chicago. None of that is there now. As far as the mismanagement from upstairs, you have a GM who doesn't like first round picks, I guess. Like, you got nothing back for Levine
Or DeRozan.
or DeRozan.
And sent them to the same place.
That was the case you should have gave him up fucking 4 years ago when he signed the offer sheet. What are we doing? And it's like, do you expect some sort of offensive explosion now? Now, that being said, let's make this little pivot. Matthias Gonzalez looked really fucking good last night. Hometown kid. My boy Omar told me, he said, look, man, I'm giving you until at least March. You're going to be like, yeah, this kid's tough. He's really fucking good. I take that back. I mean, he's pretty good. He's got a lot of upside. He needs to become a little bit of a more consistent shooter. But going 10 for 10 last night, missing no shots at all. He's finishing at the cup. He's dunking the ball with some serious ferociousness.
That white boy sizzle, man. You gotta love it. I see it in your eyes, man. You turn around. You coming around to him.
But then that's another thing. Look at my bench. It's like we got to find something to do with Patrick Williams. Like top 5 pick.
And y'all gave him $200 million. No, how much y'all paid him? 90?
Something
like that. Y'all gave him some change.
But like, there's no. What's the plan, Stan? Like, do you want to go to the fucking plan again? Like, and again, we went to the plan and we had a chance to beat Miami in Miami. Kobe White hits a big three. What does Billy the Kid do? Hey, come here. Come sit next to me. Put Patrick Beverly in. For what? Trying to close the game out. And I love Pat Bev. Love him. But what are we doing?
That's his team, bro. Chicago's very own.
I need him back. We might need him back, but there's no toughness here. There's no toughness. There's no direction upstairs. So I mean, I've kind of been in. If I'm in hell with the Giants, I've been in purgatory with the Bulls.
Yeah, man. Now, glad you're not a White Sox fan, because man, that would have been tough.
I mean, things started changing in the Bronx for me with that, and then on the college front, I guess I got Ohio State as a proud alumni, and at least I got one championship this year. But I don't even see how I'm going to make it out of February without having to check into the loony bin, because it is going to be one long fucking offseason with both teams.
And my whole thing with this too is like, it's funny too, because like after you obviously I know you saw the 30, not the 30 for 30. What was it for The Last Dance, right?
That's it, right.
Basically the Michael Jordan propaganda, right? It's so funny that who was the general manager? What was my man's name?
Please, I'm looking right down. And that's funny. I actually reposted one of his quotes today. This is gonna kill me.
It's fine. As you looking this up, but it's all good, because the reason why I think a lot of people give the Bulls a lot of flack.
Jerry Krause.
Jerry Krause. There it is. He is in large part looked at as the reason why the Bulls, like, they haven't quote unquote been the same. Obviously, you have the Derrick Rose, Tibbs, Joakim Noah era, but even that kind of fizzled out. And to me, y'all should be blaming the dude that also owns the White Sox,
Jerry Reinsdorf. Like, that's what I was just yelling.
What was it? I don't think y'all paid the tax ever.
Right. Yep.
And like, there are just some owners that I don't know why. Maybe it's because we don't see them. Maybe because we don't hear them. Maybe it's market size. I don't know. But this dude is skating by. Chicago got to be the third largest city in America. How the hell can you own multiple franchises, 2 franchises wait, he doesn't own the Black Sox, does he? The Blackhawks, does he?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That much.
Because I know it's the same arena. But either way, let's say he does or doesn't. That's at least 2. And you not willing to pay the tax? What are we doing here? And so to me, the number one indicator that I always look at is ownerships being cheap. And ultimately, every time I've looked at the Bulls, I simply just wonder what exactly is going on here. Because this is the first, I guess technically you can argue this is the second trade, because they technically signed and traded DeRozan away. But this is only their like couple of transactions in since 2021. That was 4 seasons ago.
I think it's longer than that.
No, it's 21. It was the Vooch trade.
It's Vooch trade, right?
Yeah. And so
I don't know why I thought that was 19. You're right. It was.
20. Yeah, no. The only reason I remember that like in my head exactly is because I remember exactly where I was going. I was driving somewhere. It was still pandemic-ish times. Right. I was listening to on the radio and them being like, "Oh, this trade where the Bulls at?" Blah blah blah.
And the fucked up first round draft pick that was attached to it that had everybody
exactly
thinking
the two picks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Shout out to them. But it's just like that's the whole reason they in this mess. And it's like you said, some of these franchises just love staying in this perpetual cycle, right? At least for me, I know John Mara wants to win. They might not be doing a good job at it, but no one's going to question whether or not he cares about winning, right? It's in his family's DNA. They care too much about this. His father owned the team. This is still I don't question the Yankees want to win. I think a lot of times fans get crazy where it's like, why'd you spend $700 something billion? That's not going to guarantee you a championship, my guy. Like, baseball is the one sport where you can spend no money and win the championship. You can spend $1 billion
bunch of money
championship
and lose it as well.
And lose it, right? It'll swing either way. There ain't nothing guaranteed about the Mets for getting Juan Soto. There's nothing guaranteed for the Yankees for losing Juan Soto. It is even Steven. In basketball, for the most part, if you don't spend the money, you're not winning. You know, you're not winning at the highest level, right? And the fact that they have simply chosen this path of not being terrible, but being just good enough to be the play-in Bulls. Listen, I coined the play-in in the East, the Atlanta Hawks Invitational, sponsored by State Farm. Because they stay in it every single year. The Bulls are a repeat customer. They right in there, right? I can check the stands right now. The Hawks are ninth.
And Bulls are 10th.
And the Bulls are 10th. We're about to run it back again. The annual tradition, sponsored by State Farm. And so, yeah, man, like and again, listen, from someone who had a bad owner, you know, for a long period of time, I hear it. But I think finally, it at least looks like they're picking a direction, and at least they can get their draft pick back.
Right.
You know, they have it now, so they can actually tank this year.
Yeah, that's my thing though. Like any of these owners in basketball that had to tank have been so honest about it that you almost wish that they stopped being honest about it. Like, but when you're not tanking, but you're also not good, you're telling me that like you have no idea what the fuck it is that you want to do. And it's like, if you want to be good, you either, like you said, need to spend the money, or just need to tank so well that something happens. Start selling off assets. Do something. Like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And we're sitting, what, 24 hours, we're sitting about 16 hours away from, the trade deadline. And what do we know what's going to happen with nothing? Absolutely nothing. There's a thought that Vooch might get shipped out to Golden State. We're going to do that for the little point guard that they got, Brendan, whoever his name is.
Like, oh, that fits right in with little Uzi, man. Y'all could link up.
No, man. Like,
great white hopes.
Him. And then
we not replacing the white team.
We got Kevin Herter. We got Kevin Herter.
Kevin Herter? Oh, hey, listen, man.
They're all gonna be on season 5 of the Bear. Like, come on, man.
Utah look at that like, damn, they got too many of those over there.
Exactly. But no, in all seriousness, it's a very repetitive cycle, but there's no end in sight, and it might have to come with a new coach. Might have to be fully invested in everything going around Kobe White. Sorry, like, there's got to be something done though, but there's no plan, and it's been hell, and maybe they're saying that this is us paying back all those 6 championships, and if I got to ride it out, I got to ride it out for a little bit, but I don't see anything coming of this. So, like, at one point we were the 1 seed. January of 22. We're the 1 seed. Lonzo gets hurt, and then it all falls to shit. We're the 1 seed, January 22. And like, we were doing so. I hadn't felt that good in 10 years.
Yeah.
That was 2012 season. Like, we're doing really well. The Bulls doing really well. We haven't been over like the 5 spot since. It is terrible in Chicago.
Yeah, man. Look, as someone who used to be there, I'm telling you, it can get better.
Yeah.
I know it's easier for me to say it now. I know it's easier for me to say it now. It can get better.
Let's hope it does.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I appreciate you. I know this was a very painful time for part me and mostly you.
Well, listen, man. But before I think that something needs to just be said. When you talk in union, this is what community is all about. It gets a little easier. I was going to eat my problems away, but now since I've talked about it, I'm just going to watch the Grinch and get drunk. You know what I mean? So yeah,
You know what I'm saying? See, this is what we're talking about. We talking about black mental health. This is
exactly,
how this is how
exactly,
it works, right? You know what
exactly,
I'm saying?
exactly. I
But
have no
nah,
other
Reek.
plans for Valentine's Day, so now that I got this out, hey, who knows?
Yeah, man. But nah, man, I really appreciate this. Again, thank you so much to listening, and thank you all for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. This might have been the most accurate Men Who Cry podcast that we've
Yeah.
done. But yeah, like I said, like, subscribe, review, all those good things. I'm gonna catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Deuces.